Good afternoon, MekTechs, Mech Warriors, and Nobles in Hiding. It is Illiani here, coming at you live from Canopus 4. I have no idea how long during the pre-run of this episode. I'm on the wrong music. Scoop to the right music. There we go. I have had a morning, so if I seem a little bit more disorganized than normal, it has been a morning. As I've mentioned a few times now, I am in the process of preparing my house for being sold. One of my friends was meant to be coming to help with that. Their car broke down, so they're on the side of the highway right now, which is not ideal. Apparently their engine is misfiring, which is a problem. Tira says, "Oh no." I say, "Oh no." It's definitely an oh no, and hopefully it'll be a cheap fix. So I feel really bad for them right now, especially as they were in the car in the first place because they were coming to help me. But yeah. So what are we going to do today? We are going to. Well, first off, I'm going to switch over to IntelliJ Shazam. We are going to finish what I'm in the middle of doing because I got taken away from it. What we're doing here is we're finishing up the work we started yesterday with the upgrade to training formations. And give me a second. I just want to. This is what I'm looking for. Basically, we're just going to add a visual component so the player can oh god, what's the word? See how much progress their character is making whilst in a training formation. Because right now you can't. So it feels like the characters are making no progress at all. We're going to change that. I just need to double check how we're adding this. So this is initialize components. This is filling skills, and it's the requisite kit skills, and that is filling panel combat skills. So this is mostly what I need. So down here we have our in progress skills. And we are going to have a modified version of this. So we're going to want to get all of this. Okay, it's progress show. Yeah, progress show seems good. So steal all of this, and then we're going to come down and create ourselves effectively a duplicate of this, but we're going to cut it down to size. We're only going to need a little bit of everything. So fill in progress skills. Okay, that's all good. We need to steal this. Yoink. And we've got ourselves a rounded border. Where does this live? This lives in a resource bundle. Do we have access to a resource bundle? Get text at a resource bundle. We do. In that case, there is absolutely no justification for using the wrong thing. Double checking this is the right resource bundle. It is. Alright, so next up, we are not interested in attributes. Shazam. We are not interested in what is a primary profession skill. We don't care about that. We don't care about secondary profession skills. We do care about a bunch of this though. So we need a skill name. We want to cut out any RP only stuff. We do want the formatted skill name, at which point we can basically just do this. Okay, that's then going to create us a new label. We don't need skill modifier data. We don't need to worry about character age. We don't need to worry about injury effects, because this is all just a truncated version. We need the skill name. We're going to need... What does this do? Okay, we don't need to worry about buffs and debuffs, so that can go away. All we care about is how much progress we're making. So, I don't need skill data. We don't need character age or injury effects. Am I in the wrong place? Almost certainly. So, undo those changes. Shazam. Here's what we're going to be. Okay, back to here. We don't need to worry about skill adjustment. We don't need to worry about most of this stuff. We do need a skill name, so that's going to give us the name. And the value is going to be skill to string, potentially. What does skill to string do? Okay, we don't need that. We just need just checking it's not going to include the name, it's just including level. Okay, cool. So in that case, we just need label dot. And in theory, okay, yes, we've got name. Okay, cool. We're not going to worry about tooltips. We are just going to do skill get progress and skill get person, because we have to use the person method. So person get cost to improve, skill name, and we need to know if we're using reasoning or not. Do we already have access to that? Have we already instigated the campaign options? We have. Okay. Is use reasoning. And just want to see, are we accessing this elsewhere? We are not, so that's fine. But we don't need to do this for every instance. That would be cumbersome. So up here, we are going to create a Boolean, because that means we're not evaluating whether we're using XP multiplier every time. We're just evaluating it once and then reusing that value. But we've got the spinning beach ball of death. It's so scary. Has IntelliJ crashed again? Is the enshittification of IntelliJ here? Short answer, yes. IntelliJ has been incredibly unstable of late, and I don't think it's just my computer. It seems to be hitting some, like, kind of maybe an infinite loop or something, but yeah, the enshittification of IntelliJ is real. So we're going to have to restart IntelliJ, and we're probably going to lose some progress. IntelliJ won't even restart because it has completely locked up, so just bear with me. So let's tell it to go away, and let's see how much we lost. Radar says IntelliJ not crashing, 100% impossible. Yeah. Yeah, no. IntelliJ is still the best dev environment for Java, but it is definitely going through a period of enshittification. Like, absolutely is. How much did we lose? Let's find out together, shall we? Okay, so we basically lost everything that I've done on stream so far. Great. Thank you, IntelliJ. Let's create a branch. Partial skill progress display. I'm going to have a look at local history. Maybe it might have saved into local history. I don't expect it to. No, it did not. But that at least shows me roughly where we are. Okay, that's frustrating, but we can work with this. Like, I don't know about any of you, but I remember the day back in Vigi Games where sometimes you just lost hours of progress. Save early, save often was the old mantra, and it was a very good mantra. So, thankfully, we're not doing anything super creative, so it's not like we just finished a massively difficult chunk of stuff and we need to new stuff it. So panel skills, that's fine. I'm going to come back and fill this top section in a bit, but for now, don't care about this. We don't care about these. Okay, we do care about most of this, but we do just need the formatted skill name. So we can get rid of this. Don't need you to continue analyzing the project. That gives us our label. We don't care about injury effects, we don't care about age, we don't care about skill modifier data. We don't care about attribute modifiers, SP modifiers, injury, or bonuses. We don't care about skill adjustment. We do care about get XP progress. And we also care about person, get cost to improve. Then we're going to need to have the skill name. And then we need to define whether we are using Boolean is use reasoning equals campaign options is use reasoning. We can plonk that into cost to improve. There we go. Seeing as we've got the skill tooltip, no, we're not bothering with tooltips. The tooltips aren't super important here. Okay, this all is though. Okay, so next up we need to go back to where we were a second ago and grab all this. I guess we're going to call this fill in progress skills. We don't need any of this, but we do need the grid bag layout, otherwise it's not going to format correctly. There we go. Now I'm just double checking we're not getting any repairers, panel skills. We're still using panel skills down there, so we don't want to use panel skills. Panel skills is the old value, but this should be the only instances of it being used. Okay, next up we can go back to our earlier work. Tira says they're so glad games autosave every 5 seconds now. Radar says, didn't you just save? Didn't you just crash? Yeah. It's a whole thing. But what we're going to do here... Now, let's find out if this works. So I've not tested this. Because let's say I was very part of the way through what I was working on when the news about my friend's car breaking came to light, and so everything's just a little bit more disorganized than normal, and I was hoping to have this finished before we started the stream today. So we're just going to quickly get this finished off, and then we can continue with the stream. I've already got a save set up, so we should just be able to load in and immediately see our in progress. Okay, looks like we're getting an error. It looks like it's because we need in progress skills. And what else do we need there? Title key. We don't need title key. Just need to know the skills that we're using. There's only one use of it in IllianiDev. There we go. Okay, we should now be able to launch. And the way I've set this up is the same as your personnel logs. So you should be able to just click on it and it will expand, click on it and it will contract. Which, by the way, we don't actually have the process to expand and contract in the person view, the character sheet. What we're actually doing is we have a version of the UI where the details are hidden and a version of the UI with the details are shown, and we just dynamically switch between the two. Wow, IntelliJ is really having a fucking moment. I don't quite know if the amount that IntelliJ is chugging is visible to you guys, but yeah, IntelliJ is having a really hard time today. Radar says, I mean, if you want some good news, I'm nearly up to 3 companies and mechs in my campaign so far, and nearly a company of tanks. That's great news. That is actually really cool. I'm hoping that by the time the Scrotorius Bastards, our weekly Friday campaign, reaches the clan invasion, we'll have a couple of companies. Otherwise, it's going to be a very short clan invasion for us. I mean, potentially it's going to be a short clan invasion for us anyway. Okay, so... Alright, it is not working. So let's come back out of here. There's a couple of reasons why this might not be working. The first is that it could just be a case that we aren't... that in progress skills is returning false. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to true. Go away, fucking hell, IntelliJ. We're going to go to true. And we're going to add a to-do to make sure we don't forget this. Because we don't want to accidentally leave this as true when it goes into production. So now it should show the panel no matter what. And if it shows the panel no matter what, it means the in progress skills is likely just not fetching the right skills. And while we're waiting for that to boot up, let's go into in progress skills. XP progress is above 0, add skill, sort it, return it. Okay. So this should be correct, but we will see. We will see. So I'm going back into MekHQ. Oh, an update on we're in the void. An update on the IntelliJ situation regarding the licenses. So they gave us some new coupons. They gave us a handful of coupons, which is appreciated. Obviously, we would prefer if we didn't lose the free ones, but hey, $160 is better than $200 per developer. But there's a bug with the fucking coupons. So if you go to buy the license, enter your coupon, and then for whatever reason you have to come out of paying for it, you accidentally close a tab or whatever, it still counts as the coupon having been used, even if you didn't actually use the coupon. So, yeah. Okay, so partially trained skills are showing up now, and it's showing the completely wrong thing. Okay, we've got something going wonky here. Let's investigate. Okay, so what is going wonky? I'm going to go ahead and assume it's because we're telling it to fill the personal log. So, undo that. In fact, this should all no longer be necessary. It's going to fill progress skills. That is all good. Jump back out of here. Yeah, okay, I see. So this needs to just be a new J panel. Oh, else if I add new. There we go. Verifying this is all correct. Yeah. Okay. Here is the issue. I got myself confuzzled. Okay, here's what I did. So we're going to jump up here. What's happening is I am showing the hide value. The show value is being assigned to the hide value, and it's a whole thing. No, that is correct. Oh god damn it! My brain is just all over the place today. But what I need to do, this should be, this is hide, show. No, I was right. I have got it back up front. And this should be hide. Okay, let's jump back in and see if we're getting the right display. And then when we're getting the right display, we can then investigate why it wasn't previously showing up. Now, it simply previously could not be showing up because we just missed something stupid. That is definitely a possibility. And then once we've got this finished up, we are then going to move on to mass training of SPAs. Now, the mass training of SPA is going to be, I don't want to call it hackish because that sounds like we're going to do a bad job. More that we're needing to have an unorthodox approach to it, and it's not going to be the best, but it's going to be better than not having the option at all. Okay, hide personality traits. Okay, so that's flipping, but it's not. So the issue is we're not getting the skills added. Now that could be that we simply don't have any skills. So what we're going to do is we are going to come back to in progress skills, and we're going to grab the return value of this. And we launch in debug mode. Also, knock on wood, anybody keeping track, we are still on target for 51.0 being a milestone. There are some problems, but these are problems that we can fix before we announce the milestone. One of the problems is that due to... So one of the really cool things we've done was we're now using a lot of the same data as... Basically, we merged our data with the Galaxy data from Sana. And so now they get access to our data, we get access to their data, everybody wins. But there was a bit of an issue with how they designate clan ownership of planets if that planet is owned by all clans, like Stranamakte, for example. They notify it as being owned by the all clans faction, which means that if you are not the all clans faction, like for example you are Clan Wolf, and you don't own any planets yourself, you just are technically on the planet owned by quote unquote all factions, then you can't generate contracts because you have no planet. Okay, we're hitting the breakpoints. What are we seeing here? Oh, helps go back to IntelliJ. Radar says they just noticed that in 51 that searchlights can be not only turned off but can be removed in the lobby. Yes. Okay, so yeah, we're returning 0 in progress skills. So now what I need to do is have a look at the campaign save itself and make sure that the campaign save has in progress skills. Progress should be cool. Yeah, okay. So the campaign save does not have any in progress. That tells me that I most likely just forgot to save it. Whoopsie-doodles. So at level 2, we're going to have progress 5 and 5. I know what I've done. I know what I have done. Anchor. We need to, because what I've done is I haven't updated the skills for the right person, because the save includes all the people that are a part of the personnel market. And so what I did is I ended up accidentally editing one of the people in the personnel market, not the person we have in our campaign. So now we'll boot up MekHQ, and we should now actually see what we want to see. So just wait for this to boot up. We're going to load, and this should work. Tira says the Sana Galaxy data was also causing some funny faction code issues. The Rasselhague Republic turned into the Frank creatures. Was that fixed, Tiras? I should bloody hope so, because, you know, we're part of the Rasselhague Republic. We don't want to be part of the Frank fucking Reaches. Okay, here we go. Hide partially trained skills. It's not quite formatted right, but we're getting in the right direction. It was FFR, Free Rasselhague. Okay, I see. Yeah, Free Rasselhague Republic versus FR for Frank Creatures. Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. The good thing is that like data problems are things we can very easily fix mid development cycle, and then put you guys like the correct data out. Like data problems are the least concern, really. So we want to show this if it's not empty. The exclamation mark in front of a statement just means not. So not in progress skills is empty, i.e. is in progress skills not empty. Okay, so that should be true, and then hide should be false. There we go. And all we do is we just add a whoopsie doodle here. And now if we go into MekHQ, we should now see our in progress skills. We can expand it, we can hide it, and it should show us how much XP we need. I might slightly adjust the positioning so that they're like near the actual skills part, but we'll decide. We'll decide when we go back into MekHQ, which has just finished loading up. But like I say, the main goal here is support for the advanced character builder, which is coming before the end of next year, but also enabling players to have a way to see how much progress their characters are making via training formations. So let's go to person, show partially trained skills. There we go. So we can see piloting aerospace, we've got 5 out of 40, and small arms, we have 10 out of 30. There we go. And we can hide partially trained skills. We can show partially trained skills. You get the point. But yeah. Radar says he also saw morale is getting a better visual indicator. Yes, it is. I wish I could show it to you guys right this second, because it is so much nicer. Actually, what am I talking about? I can show you guys right this second. Give me 2 seconds to scootle over to Safari. Sorry for taking you to the void. Past my Google search. Let's see here. Chadam. So instead of just having a word for morale, you get ooh, exciting, new, graphically impressive. So this is going to be the new morale meter, and there should be. I'll need to go to Discord for this, but I'll leave the bar up. I've scrolled too high. There you go. I'll leave that up for just a second. I'm going to scootle over to Discord because it's not just the briefing room that's getting a bit of a buff on morale. If I go to a private channel, scootling up. Okay, switching over to Discord. And here's your updated morale update. The morale update is updating so that you can update your morale whilst updating your morale. King Miles says, the Sony seems to be raising the bar. It is. King Pig Bully says it's groundbreaking. Tira says the bar. Radar adds the bar. Yeah, so this is going to be your new morale update interface. And don't worry, more bars will most likely be coming. But yeah, like this just makes it a lot more readable. I think I can give you an example of how the bar looks when you are like not on peaceful. Just give me 2 seconds. Give me a second. I'm having to scroll back. Okay, so keep in mind this next one I'm going to show you is mid development. Tara says, will there be open bars? All bars are open in the inner sphere. But this one's mid development, so you'll probably see that it does look a bit different to what I just showed you. But I'm mostly wanting to show you what it looks like color-wise when you're in trouble. Oh, wrong one. Discord. There we go. So in this next example, you're at advance. The morale is advancing. So this is not exactly how it will look, but it's a close indicator of how it will look. Because this was earlier in development than what I literally just showed you. So as you can see, the better the morale situation, the further left it is, the greener it is, and the further right it is, the more bad for you it is, the redder it looks. Tira says it is good. Yeah, it is really good. We have other ideas. For example, we're thinking of turning the victory points counter. Like, I've got victory points here. We're thinking of turning that into a bar as well. But there's other options. Now we've got this technology, there are more things that we can do with it. Okay, so let's head back to IntelliJ. Oh, also, who wants to hear a fucking crazy story? Tira says we've reached bars on the UI tech tree. We have. Who wants to hear an absolutely fucking crazy story? So, I used to play EVE Online. All right. Back in the day, I haven't played for like 15 years at this point. I really wasn't a fan of how, well, what kind of person it was turning me into. And so I quit playing the EVE Online. Alitair, our UI guy, used to play EVE Online. It's like, oh, that's cool. We started talking, and it turns out we were playing EVE Online at the same, like roughly the same time. How crazy is that? But wait, there's more. It turns out we both were in the main, we both played in the main PvP area, nullsec, at the same time. But wait, it gets better. We were also part of the same player alliance. Now, an alliance is like a group of corporations. Corporations are guilds. So essentially, we were in the same like mega guild at the same time. Like I thought that was really, really cool. It gets better. We were in the same corporation together. So we were in the exact same guild. It gets even better. We actually know each other. We used to play together when we played EVE Online. And so our newest developer that joined the dev team, the UI guy, we literally used to play with each other in EVE Online. Here, let me find the exact moment the shoe dropped. Give me a second. Because it's actually in the same channel as that a second ago. I'm not going to show you the full conversation, but let me jump to Discord. So I just like, oh, we're talking about this. So, oh, it's really funny. Like we you know, similar playing at the same time. And I shared my character, they shared their character, and then we realized we knew each other. How absolutely fucking crazy is that? Now I'm sure there's on the Venn diagram of playing that the crossover between people who like giant space robots and people who like, I mean, let me be honest, people who like MekHQ and people who like EVE Online, they're both spreadsheets in space. So the intersection is probably quite large. But to have an intersection where we literally used to play together, and now we're both developers on MekHQ. Completely independently, years apart, we both ended up becoming developers. And that is just absolutely fucking crazy. It was the developer equivalent of that one Spider-Man pointing meme. Yeah, no, it's it is absolutely crazy. I still can't believe it myself. So back to what we're doing though. Let's just go ahead and push this. We don't need to do any further. Good old classic long commit. Player can see training, formation, progress. easier. There we go, and commit. Yeah, no, I'm. It's been like 2 days since this all happened. Like this all went down, and I'm still just absolutely flabbergasted. This wonderful planet that we call ours is incredibly small sometimes. It's the old thing about how you're 5 degrees of separation from any other person. Tira says, honestly based. Yeah. No, oh, man. EVE Online is wild. EVE Online could be a much better game and a lot more enjoyable if it wasn't for the community that CCP, the developers, have kind of fostered over the years. Individual EVE Online players are lovely. As a group, as a collective, EVE Online players are incredibly toxic. Oh, we should probably get a screenshot for the release. Let me quickly boot up MekHQ. Down the Rabbit Hole has an amazing but long video on EVE Online. I don't think you need to specify that Down the Rabbit Hole has a long video. They're all goddamn long videos. I really like Down the Rabbit Hole. I haven't watched any of this stuff for years. I really do like it. Tira says, as for the Venn diagrams, I said to my friend yesterday during Game Summerfest, the games I want to play are released by obscure publishers, and just look at the screens of numbers like at the Matrix. Yeah. What's the other? There's another YouTuber. I don't watch this stuff as much as I would like to, but I really do enjoy this stuff. They did a go away tooltips. They did a incredibly well researched video on the ooh noise from Roblox. like a multiple hours long deep dive on the ooh noise from Roblox. And that is the kind of stuff I watch for entertainment. The oof, yeah. I'm trying to remember who it was. Breda says they know who I'm talking about. Let's just find it. YouTube. Where did the Roblox oof noise come from? Deep dive video. Let's try and see if we can track it down. Might have to actually go to YouTube itself. Because damn it, I really want to say who this person is because their videos are fantastic. H Bomber Guy. There we go. There we go. H Bomber Guy. I'll type it in chat. I highly recommend H Bomber Guy. His video's very long. The Roblox oof noise video is 2 hours long, but they are very entertaining, very informative. The guy completely tore apart in maybe not that video, but a later one, completely tore apart how exploitative Roblox itself is. His videos aren't all about Roblox, I promise, but those are the two that really stuck in my head. H Bomber Guy is definitely someone I would recommend, especially if you like long form videos that you can just stick on in the background and have in the background like you probably do with my streams. Yeah, no, H Bomber Guy is definitely someone I can recommend. If we're talking about YouTubers, I can recommend I can also recommend, if I just double check I'm spelling the name correct. There's a YouTuber called IllianiPineapple. If you're a Souls-like fan, like I am, IllianiPineapple is a lot of fun. He does a lot of videos on Souls-likes that are in the Steam library that you might not have heard of. But yeah, IllianiPineapple and H-Bomber Guy are probably the two YouTubers I watch the most. Both very long videos, which probably says a bit about what kind of entertainment I like. Before I continue, let me just check in on my friend. Okay, my friend's still waiting to be waiting to be towed. Defunct Land. Oh, Defunct Land's also good. Yeah. No. I haven't watched Defunct Land in a very long time, but I remember enjoying their videos. So here you are, folks. You know, you come for the live development, you stay for the YouTube recommendations. But that is done. So let's actually move on to the main event. Before we jump onto the main event, I am going to step away for just a couple of moments. I just need to check in on my friends, make sure they're doing okay. And I also need to go refill my water. So I will be back in a moment, and then we're going to jump straight in and start working on mass training of SPAs. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Let me just flip over back to IntelliJ, Shazam. Okie dokie. Let's see here. We want person table mouse adapter. I believe that's the name of the personnel table. Maybe. It might be personnel table. Oh, it's definitely not that. There we go. Okay, this is going to be difficult, and there's a reason why this hasn't been done before. So this, how many lines? This 5.6 thousand line class is just controls what happens when you right click on a character in the personnel tab. 5.6 or more than 5.6 thousand lines of code just for right click on a character. Nobody likes working in this class, and that's specifically why it just simply, like, the SPA stuff just hasn't been done. So let's see if we can do it. I did a feasibility test yesterday. It should be possible. The challenge is going to be doing it in a way that doesn't duplicate massive amounts of code. So let's just see what we can do. Personal Jesus nut? I'm not familiar. Radar says they ran into a rebel with the call sign Lost Tech, had 0 Lost Tech on their mech, disappointed. Okay. Okay, so let's, what if we just remove... Oh, I see. The Jesus Nut is the bolt keeping the rotor attached to the helicopter. It's called that because if it breaks, you get to me, Jesus. Yeah, okay, now I understand. I must have missed part of the conversation. So what we're going to do to start off with is we are just going to remove these checks. What does get active flexible even do? Active or camp follower. So that means if a character's on no, that's crap. Okay, we're getting rid of that. So the way it's set up right now, you cannot spend XP if the character isn't, like, if the character's on leave. That's crap. We're getting rid of that. Goodbye. So our first step is getting rid of the checks and balances. Then what we're going to do, why are we breaking? Okay, that's why we're breaking. We're going to get rid of these checks, and then we're going to see how well we can get on. And then we're just going to... Okay, this isn't work. This is the problem. We have such a large class, and it's all gated between if-else blocks. It's really, really hard to get a sense of what needs to be changed without just bricking everything. So... Okay, again, a character shouldn't need to be active to get married. Yeah. What we can actually do is, rather than all these get active flexible, we're just going to say is departed unit. Because that way we can just limit it down to, if you haven't departed the unit, you can probably do the thing. If you departed the unit, the player probably doesn't care about it anymore, so there's no need to load a whole bunch of stuff. So let's just drop this off. And then what happens if we press this? Else if are all active flexible. We're just going to change that. Do we have our all? Okay. Create a new helper method. Are none departed unit. There we go. Okay, so that's our first step. So now we're going to go into MekHQ. We are going to attempt to assign some SPAs to multiple people, and we're going to see if it breaks. Now, I actually know we're not going to do that because I know it's going to break. I absolutely know it's going to break, and I know how it's going to break. So let's go back to, first of all, let's add a new static check. And we're going to go ahead and slip ourselves into new branch. Mass training SPAs. Tibet says, did we touch attributes recently? Someone mentioned on Discord, I saw that conversation. Basically, random generation seems to be a little bit balked. I haven't had a chance to investigate that. Yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to investigate. I suspect there's the issue report's already in. Thank you for offering though, Tiras, but the issue report's already in. Yeah, no, I am aware of the problem. It will be investigated. It's just not really an urgent problem. And I'm kind of looking for fun things right now. Because, like I said, I'm in the middle of moving house. So I want fun stuff. That's also why we're not currently working on the contract overhaul. I just need relatively smaller stuff that I can focus on. But we get the keys to our new apartment on Friday. This Friday. Okay, we don't care about marriage. We do care. This is where we want to check. Okay. All right. Okay, here is what we're needing to check. So, if is 1 selected, and is it just 1 selected? 1 selected, okay. So if we have multiple people selected, or the SPA is the person's eligible, then we're going to show all of them. Okay, we're going to need to update this method. So we're going to have a gate. So if 1 selected, we're going to do this way, this current way. Else, we're going to do it a new way. To do new way. Okay, we don't need to know, we shouldn't need to worry about this. Because if 1 selected, because at this point there shouldn't be any in the ineligible. Actually, the conditional is probably not necessary. There we go. Okay, where is already purchased floors should also be empty. So let's jump up and make sure that's the correct. For SPAs, we need to do the same check here. If 1 is selected, and the cost is less than 0, and the person has the SPA, then I'm going to add it to already purchased. Okay, scrolling down, it helps if we fix typos as we go. Some grammar, good old grammar. Okay, so it looks like the bulk of what we need to do here is going to be specifically this. So, we're going to rename this to single character selected. And then we're going to duplicate it. And down here it's going to be multiple characters selected. So let's minimize this. This is going to be a fucking huge method, I can tell. So let's just minimize it for now. Well, actually, it's not as bad as I was expecting. It's only a few lines long. And some of this we might be able to extract out. How do I want to do this? Yeah, I really don't want to have to duplicate tons of code here. So we're going to make person nullable. And nullable means that we have written code that can anticipate a null value. And we're going to make an overload in a bit, but for now, I just want to know where are we getting all the instances of person. So we are going to be using this conditional a lot. Boolean person is null. So it's going to be basically person is null. We're going to use this Boolean a lot, so we're going to cache the Boolean, so we only have to do it once. Okay, this is going to be troublesome. Because weapon specialist is something that you probably want, but it is so tied to the specific unit the characters in. So this one we probably can't do. Similar to here, we are going to add some to-dos. So we mark these as to-dos as much as a reminder to ourselves, but as well as a as well as a reminder for the code review. So when the code reviews, they're going to see this and be like, "Oh, that needs to be fixed," and they'll get flagged if I forget. So environmental specialist, again, we're just looking for person. We can't do if person is null. We are going to add all because we don't care. Else what's this even being used? Oh, I see. Okay. We can do what I was originally going to do. So it's simply a case of if the person isn't null, and if the person has the thing, we're going to do a thing. Then we're going to come down here. Tooltip. Okay, so your prerequisites. Cost. How are we calculating cost? Okay, that's fine. We can handle that. That's not a problem. Oh, PS359 says they just won a PvP MegaMek game. Oh, having a great time. Are you playing with the MRC? Or is this another organization? Okay, so that looks like environmental specialist is handled. I'm not entirely sure why it won't let me. Sandblaster, go away. Oh, because that's still Sandblaster. Okay, if go away. Yeah, it's the MRC's current online event. I like the MRC. I was actually an MRC player before I was a MegaMek dev. Okay, so next up we're on Human Tro. And again, this is just going to be a case of is not null, in person get the blah blah blah. Okay, so this is going to be a problem. The is eligible part. We can just pass in true there. That's not going to be an issue here. They should all be good. I still want to be searching for person though. The SP equals gunnery specialist, and the person does not have gunnery specialist. Give gunnery specialist. If person is null, or get back here. So this is really, really bad code. The goal here is to make as few edits as possible to make it work. This change won't work. We need to do the person is null here instead. And person is null, or there we go. Okay, we calling person anywhere down here? Doesn't look like it. So next up we have gunnery range master. So we just need to go person is not null. Because this is just checking to see if we've already got it. Okay, this should all be good. PS359 says the MIC is an interesting community and they do both in-person and online events. Yeah, no, I used to play in their in-person stuff. I've never actually played in their online stuff. Yeah, no, I was involved in the MRC for a few years. I actually run an in-person tournament. What the fuck is going on here? Is this just generic SPA? If person is present. So if the person get the SPA next, so if the person has the SPA, and it's a choice SPA. What on earth? So this is why I don't like chaining conditionals, because what the fuck is even happening here? If person get options, get option SPA is present. So if this is not null, so they have the option, and the option is choice type, and they haven't taken it, I think. I'm going to have to feed this into Claude to make sure that I'm reading the conditional correctly, because that is a fucking mess. See if Claude can make head or tails of it, because this is just a mess. If the person has the option named the SPA get name, and it is a choice type option, and it is currently set to false, so if the person does not currently have it, then proceed. All right. So if person is null, or God, get back there. The fuck just happened there? Oh, I have okay. So if person is null, or this whole bunch of shit. Then we're going to move on to here. Okay, and this one is just a case of if the person doesn't have the normal SPA. This is very, very old code. We would not do it like this anymore. Okay. Why is person always false? Person is assuredly not always false. Because this is going to do it. Okay, we need to adjust this. Okay, first of all, we're going to break this down. But fuck off, bloody auto format. Piss right off. Okay. So, what do we want to do here? Break it up. Come back up here. Let's get rid of the changes we've made. Okay. We don't care if the person has it. But we do care if it's a type choice. Get special, no, maybe special ability. Get special abilities. This whole chunk here is not going to work with our current setup. We are gonna have to duplicate code here, which sucks. I really was trying to avoid that, but we have to do what we have to do. Billy says, can't you just make a utilities task? I can. The goal here is, okay, so I've mentioned this before, but I do want to be clear here. This is a 5,600 line if-else statement. It is not good. It is very poorly maintained. I have to go into this making as few changes as possible. Otherwise, it's just going to explode. I can't just go in and make utility classes. I can't just go in and rewrite chunks, because I would have to rewrite 5,600 lines of stuff, because it's all interdependent. It's all just in one massive if-else chain, and this is why nobody's ever done this before. This entire class needs to be rewritten, but I do not have the bandwidth for that right now. Radar says, who wrote this code? Toby Fox. This code was written back in 2014. It was probably made earlier than 2014. We just only go back to 2014. So this is like 16-year-old code. This code is old enough to have sex in the UK. Like this code is old enough to join the military. I really don't like what we're doing here. Like, are we just making the problem worse? Are we just making the problem worse? I think we are. I think we are just making this problem worse by adding even more conditionals. What are our options? We can just create our own method that basically does the same thing. Yeah, I do think that. Well, okay, so our options are, because I'm just going to reset this. This is not tenable. I could not in good conscience push this to production. So let's think. PS359 says the code has moved out its mum basement. I'm not convinced it has. I am convinced this code is in the mum's basement posting on 4chan about how women ruined the world. Yeah, okay. So a step back, take a deep breath. What are our options here? So first option is, of course, we just abandon the project and we say that it's just not doable without a complete rewrite of this adapter class. That's one option. Obviously, that's not the best option, but that is one of our options. Let's just jot them down. Doesn't matter what we're just going to do it here. So we can abandon hope. We can continue with what we're doing, specifically adding more. Let's make this to do because yellow text is easier to read. Okay. So we can abandon hope, we continue making worse. We can duplicate the code into new method. Rewriting is not an option, but we'll include it. Okay, so those are our four options. We can abandon the project entirely. We can continue doing what we've already been doing, which is just going to make the problem worse. Or we can duplicate the code into a new method. We can rewrite the entire class. So, I mean, I'm reading chat. King Miles says I'm reading these as all four need to be done. Yeah. Okay. I do think that we have to be realistic. We have to be honest with ourselves as developers. We have to say, hey, can we do this well? And if we can't do it well, is it something that is absolutely needing to be done? We can't do this well. We don't have the time. We don't have the bandwidth. And it is not something that has to be done right now. With that in mind, I really don't want to. I really wanted mass training of SPAs. But I don't see how we can, because duplicating the new method, sure, we might be able to make the new method nicer and not suck, but we are just creating the same problem. So Yeah, I think I really don't want to, but I do think that this just isn't a doable project right now. Radar says we wanted mass training, but the code debt is too heavy and should be honestly done at a different date. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. I do think that we are reaching a point that the code debt in this particular class has gotten so bad, it is just not working anymore. I think I'm going to try and see if I can find someone to come in and rewrite it. Yeah, no, and that's what I'm going to do, because, yeah, the code debt here is so bad. Yeah, okay. Well, we came, we saw, we went, nah, I'm good. It is a shame. I really wanted to give you guys mass training of SPAs. I wanted mass training of SPAs. But we have to be realistic. We have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be recognize our limits. And I think the code debt in this particular class has just gone so bad. Wildfire says, not sure what happened, but just advanced a week on veteran preset and 341 out of 2020. Well, first of all, you have over 22,000 people. Came down with no combat injuries and are filling up Mech Bay. The joys of a large unit. So, Wildfire, let me show you something that will make your life a lot easier. I'm going to go into MekHQ. It'll take a couple of moments to boot, and while we are non-combat, yeah, no, I figured what you meant. While we're waiting for that to boot, actually, it's already booted up. Hurrah! So let's just let me show you something. So go into MekHQ options, go to New Day options, and down at the bottom, make sure that Optimize Medical Assignments is ticked. If you do that, whenever you advance to New Day, anybody who's in the infirmary will be automatically assigned to a doctor, unless there just isn't enough doctor slots. You can also have quick training done automatically, and there's loads of new options for quick training. You can have them automatically adjust maintenance schedules, automatically assign techs to unmaintained units. If you're running a unit that has over 22,000 people, come into New Day options, see all of these options, and see if there's anything that you can do to make your life easier. We have done a lot of work over the past year and a half to try and make things easier on the Mega users who have Mega campaigns. So definitely go into New Day options in MekHQ client options and just see if any of this stuff will help you. But without more information as to what those non-combat injuries were or what's going on, I can't really offer you more assistance. But yeah, definitely make sure you've got the automatic assignment of personnel to doctors enabled. Yeah, and also make sure you're on 51.0. 51.0, knock on wood. Definitely knocking on that wood. Caressing the wood even. Mwah. Giving the wood a kiss. So far, 51.0 is still on target to be a milestone release. That can all change, you know, a nasty evil bug can just come out of the woodwork and be like, ah, no, we fucked everything. But right this second, it's on target to be a milestone release. It's a very, very good release. Psychotic asked, why don't I like leadership units? Haha, you have triggered my unskippable cutscene. So, leadership units. For anybody unaware, MekHQ has, or Stratcon specifically, has a system called auxiliaries, also known as leadership units. The more leadership the commander of a drop has, the more points you get. Wildfire says most are mental breaks and it is 51.0. So that's interesting, because how it's meant to work is you should... Here, let me check something for you, because I might be able to make things even more easier for you. So I'm going to boot up MekHQ, I'm going to give my answer, and then I'll come back to you, Wildfire. But I can't remember how I set it up, but I did massively nerf mental breaks in 51.0, but it probably isn't affecting existing campaigns. So let me just load up MekHQ. I'll answer Katic, then I'll show you what we can do. So leadership units. How leadership units work is they, depending on how many leadership your character your drop commander has. So whoever is the commander of the first force you assign to the drop. So whatever leadership your drop commander has gives you auxiliary points. Auxiliary points can be used to deploy auxiliaries. These are also known as leadership units because they come from leadership. Why don't I like them? It's a win more. What's a win more? It basically means if you're winning, it allows you to win more. If you have the spare units to use your auxiliaries, you are already in a winning position. Furthermore, why do we need 2 different reinforcement systems? Technically 3 different reinforcement systems. It creates confusion. Another reason why I don't like them, it is impossible for us to balance around them. You could have, I'll come back to that question because you could have some incredibly broken units that just happen to have a relatively low BV, bring them in as auxiliaries. Every unit you bring as an auxiliary is tilting the game, which is already in your favor, even more in your favor because we can't account for that in balancing. So Princess doesn't get to have auxiliary units. Why should the player? The player does not need any help winning. As for what the 3 reinforcement methods are, there is classic reinforcement, that you just reinforce for a scenario. There is leadership units, which are a type of reinforcement. And I believe it's frontline units. It might be frontline units. Is it frontline? Which one is... Oh, I don't know. Actually, I can go into combat roles. Frontline units also allow you to deploy infantry units for free. So with a scenario, if you have a frontline force, you can deploy reinforcements, you can deploy your leadership units, you can deploy your free infantry units, all into one scenario just because you chose frontline and happen to have some support points for free. And everything except traditional reinforcement is free. It is not paid for. You do not expend a resource. You do not have any long-standing stuff. You literally, all it requires you to have is be in frontline or any other one for leadership. Have invested a little bit into leadership, not much, and have more units spare than you need. And once you've established a campaign, you are not running out of units. It is all leadership units do, and all frontline infantry does, is just tilt the balance in favor of the player even more than it already is. But coming back to Wildfire, let me just double check how I implemented something. Psychetic says, I like the auxiliary system. It makes sense we could deploy spare units alongside the main force, but here's the thing. If you want to deploy those units, put them in the combat team. Put them in the combat team and have them assigned. You don't need to be able to magically teleport units to get that effect. You can have an auxiliary lance and use support points. That's the whole point of support points. There is a system already in place to handle what players are asking for when they talk about how much they like leadership units. The thing is, players just like to be able to reinforce with these extra stuff for free because it helps them win. And it helps them win more frequently. And the more frequently the player wins, the harder it is to balance. Let me see here. I thought we had a system. Let me just give this person a mental break. 1 second. Let's make them a berserker, because you shouldn't be having mental breaks if you've got money. Berserker. We like Berserker. No, Hysteria is a good one. Hysteria will be. Fuck it, we'll give them all. There we go. Okay, I'm going to need to have some cash. So it's out of transactions. Give me some money for my rich uncle. And advance to a new week. So what should be happening Wildfire is you pay a tiny amount of money each week to the medication for your character, for the mental break people. And as you can see here, I haven't had any mental breaks. And this is despite the character having every psychosis known to MekHQ. So if you are having an issue with mental breaks, check your finances, because it shouldn't be an issue in 51.0. If it is, double check like that you are definitely on 51.0, because this was introduced in 51.0. I have tested the heck out of it. It should be working. If it isn't, open up an issue report. We can definitely get that fixed. But yeah, basically the new system is, instead of having a mental break, you pay for their medication. And if you can't afford the medication, then you have the mental break. But yeah. Psychiatric says the auxiliary isn't a reinforcement. The auxiliary goes out with the initial force. Right, but that's what combat forces are for. A combat force is not just saying, hey, this is a lance. It's saying all these units fight together. Wildfire says it looks like I'm in a funding drought between payments, so no ready cash ops. Yeah, definitely get yourself a loan or something. But yeah, so I feel very, very passionately about leadership units. It's up there with tactics as a bonus to initiative. You're not going to convince me that I'm not right. This is something I am incredibly knowledgeable about and have a very deep-seated opinion on the topic. Radar says tactics so fucking dumb. It is, but you're not going to convince me otherwise. If I ever do a system to replace Stratcon, there will not be auxiliaries. You will deploy to the map, and if you want auxiliaries to go out, you deploy them onto the map with the rest of the force. But that's that. If I sound very passionate, it's because I am. I really don't like leadership units. I don't like win mores. I like the player to be challenged, because if the player's challenged, they're losing units. If the player's losing units, it means their progression is slow. Their progression is being checked. If you don't check a player's progression, it is just a matter of time until they hit the invincible state where nothing matters. Okay, let's go on to Safari. Actually, I'm not going to bother going with Safari. I'm just going to find out why, when we're generating people, they're all generating as normal people. Okay, so leadership units off the table. Let's go and sort out personnel randomization. So Canuck says you don't always want your mech force to deploy a visa support. I get it. Okay. So if I didn't think there was a use case, I would have deleted it. I don't like them. I don't think they're good mechanically. I don't think they're... Okay, let me rephrase this. I don't think they're a good solution to the problem. That's the main issue. I don't think they're a good solution to the problem they're trying to solve. But right now, they're the only solution that's implemented, so they're the solution we use. And anytime we attempt to change that implementation, players get very upset with us. So it's the solution that's going to remain in effect until Stratcon is eventually, in many years' time, replaced. Okay. Well, first off, let's just verify the problem. But yeah, the bottom line is I don't think leadership units are a good solution to the problem that leadership units is trying to solve. And that really is the root issue here. But that comes down to limitations in how Stratcon was made and developed, rather than... Then there is definitely a solution to be found, but probably not within the context of Stratcon. I would probably be a lot happier if auxiliary units cost a support point, just one. If you had to pay a single support point to access your auxiliaries, but they automatically quote unquote reinforced, so it worked exactly the same as they do now, except you pay a single support point. That I would get behind, because then that creates a limitation. Yeah, Radar's right. If aux units cost something, it'd be fine. Okay. Marketplace. Yeah, this isn't generating. Okay, let's have a look at a new person. Psychotic says, I don't think a support point is worth the maybe 2 units you get when I could deploy a full lance. So here's the thing, you could deploy a full lance, absolutely could, but then you've got to roll a 7+ or however much check to get them into position. Whereas the benefit of using an auxiliary is they deploy with your existing force, there's no delay when they arrive, and they don't roll for reinforcement, they're automatic. So yes, you could deploy a full lance, but if you do that, there's a chance the lance might not get there in time for the fight. There's a chance the lance might get intercepted. There's a chance the reinforcement points you might just fail and completely lose them. So you would pay a single support point to get access to the auxiliaries on turn 1 with no checks. As opposed to right now, where you get them on turn 1 with no checks for free. Okay. So let's have a look at generate person. That's what we're kind of into. But yeah, no, you triggered the cutscene. You asked for the answer. Psychotic says, I think support points are too precious for that. Then that creates a meaningful choice. Is your support point too precious to get your auxiliaries into position? Or do you need those auxiliaries? As opposed to right now, where you might as well deploy those auxiliaries every time. There is no reason not to deploy auxiliaries every time. Whereas with attacks, you now have the meaningful choice. Are your auxiliaries worth that extra point? And again, these are guaranteed reinforcements. Turn 1, no roll. If you need those forces in position, you will pay that point. If you don't, you won't. Whereas right now, you will deploy them every time because there's no reason not to. Okay, so we are generating traits, we're generating attributes. Okay, we're checking, is the campaign options, are we using Edge? Just waiting for this to get the implementation. Okay, so we're getting the random skill preferences. Where are we getting random skill preferences from? Abstract skill generator. Okay. Where are we getting these random skill preferences from? Okay, I think I found the issue. I think. I think we're creating a new... I think we have a new... I think we're instantiating a new random skills. I think that's the problem. I think that is the fix here. Let's boot up and find out. Psychics is the biggest issue with orcs and frontline units. Yeah, if you click on a unit, you have to deploy the unit. If you open a bug report, we can investigate that. Nobody's reported that bug, so it wasn't known. Yeah, if the bug's not been reported, we can't fix it. Okay, so let us add our random aerospace pilot. Oh, wow. That aerospace pilot has been busy. 5 children. Wow. That aerospace pilot is creating a clan all by themselves. Knight says those are rookie numbers. Wrong screen. Whoop-to-doodles. Sorry, I'm still tilted by the leadership units. If you wonder why I get so passionate about these things, you have to understand that I have been dealing with these problems, and with like a conversation about leadership units, about tactics, generally any problematic system. I've had that conversation numerous times. And yeah, so my opinions get very deep-seated. Okay, here we are. We've got 4s, 6s, 5s, charisma, as opposed to here, which is just 6s across the board. So yeah, we fixed the issue. That was literally it. Let us see if we have any other calls that we need to update. That's good. That's good. That's good. And this might not be good. That's good. Okay. So it looks like it was just the one place that was broken. There we go. That was nice and easy. Radar says, "Can the MekTech stop breaking armor?" I am. So I do want to apologize to Psychatic. I don't know if you're still in the chat, Psychatic. I know you absolutely did not expect the ferocity of the answer that you just got. But yeah, no, I have had long and arduous debates multiple times with people about the leadership units and tactics. Those two things in particular are two things that I do not think are good for the health of the game, but I'm not allowed to remove, and so I get very grumpy about it. So again, Psychotic, if you are in chat, I do apologize that I kind of was a tad more fierce than you probably anticipated. But that's another bug we fixed. If Psychotic's not in chat, I'll apologize to them directly later. Psychotic says it's fine? Okay, good. But yeah, there are no plans to change leadership units. I might not like how they work, but they're clearly something that players do like. But that is my opinion on the matter. Back into the queue we go. Anything to work on. I want something fun. Let's do the blood type selector. No, I don't really want to work in the UI. Tell you what, I am going to step away. I'm going to take the doggies out. I'll be about 10 minutes and I'll come back refreshed, renewed, chilled the fuck out. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a moment. And if you haven't already and you're enjoying what you're listening to, somehow, for some reason, then definitely give the channel an old follow. Subscribe if you're feeling spicy. But as I say, go and get yourself some water, go get yourself a drink, some food maybe if you're hungry. And I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Toodles! Hey everybody, I'm back. I have rearmed, repaired and refreshed, and I'm a lot chiller now. I have eaten something that probably would have helped. I am in the middle of moving house. I'm a little bit tetchier than normal. Parsider, I see that you've got a 7-stream streak. I'm glad you're having a good time. I also saw that Wildfire and Sad Pongo subscribed, not subscribed, bigger followed. Glad you're enjoying the streams. So let's switch out of RBR back and let's go to IntelliJ. Radar says they've been sent out for a riot control duty. They sent 4 light mechs. The Illyrian Commonwealth Armed Forces sent an entire company of battle mechs for 4 mobs. So what are we going to do? Well, here's the thing, folks. This leadership unit and the 2 things I find most problematic for the gameplay are leadership units and tactics. How about, rather than just whining about them every time they're brought up, how about I actually do something about it? So here's the plan. We are going to add an optional campaign option. I'm emphasizing optional here, so nobody gets grumpy at me. This is going to be optional. But we're going to implement a campaign option, 1 each, that adds a support point tax to using leadership units and a support point tax to using tactics initiative. Now, the tactics initiative one, I'm a little bit unsure of. That one's a little bit, I'm not as 100% on that. Bear with me just 1 second. I hope I caught that mute in line. I had a good old sneeze, so I'm just coming from the outside. I gather from the bless you that I did not hit the mute button in time. I do apologize. Knight says, are you referring to commander in tactics or individual tactics in initiative? Probably both. I haven't got a firm plan there yet. Because I don't... Yeah, it's a very problematic situation because players love tactics initiative. Absolutely fucking love it. They love being able to get +10 on every initiative roll. Game balance wise, that's a bit of an issue. So how we're going to flavor it, because I'm a firm believer that if we're going to implement systems, it has to have a flavor element. It has to feel in universe. So how we're going to flavor it is to take advantage of these tactics initiative bonuses. You need to pay a support point to have Allied Command move a communications satellite into position so that you can better interface with your forces and Allied commands. And so the tactics the support points tax is getting the communication satellites in position. And then if you pay that, it would just be 1. It's going to be a 1 point no scaling. Okay, so it doesn't matter how big you are. You could be an entire RCT. You're only going to pay 1 support point. Okay, so we're just doing the 1 support point so that if you want, you can have this on every scenario, and it will eventually eat through all your support points. But it means that you're not going to be in a situation where you have a full RTC and you're like, oh, if I want to use my tactics initiative anytime, I have to pay 10 support points. That's just not great. PS359 says, but what if the battle is happening on some remote world that is unlikely to have a satellite infrastructure? So it is a canon thing that during operations, small communication satellites will be put into orbit. Knight says, buy-field mobile HQs and have orbital command system and checks option. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is an option. You can do what the fuck you want. I do not care. I do not care if you use this option or not. The option is not me saying you have to use this. It is me saying, this is what I believe to be a more balanced experience. Do what you will. It's Little Willie says, this sounds expensive. Yes, that is intentional. It is an intentional balance check to ensure that you are not able to enter every scenario with potentially up to a +10 modifier on a 2d6 roll. So it is a taxation. But again, this is going to be optional. So if you don't like it, you don't need to use it. Psychotic says it sounds so expensive. Again, if you don't like it, you do not need to use it. So this is not something you are forced to use. It is a campaign option. If you don't like it, It is a case of ticking and unticking a single box. If it's too expensive, untick that box. If you're the GM and you have a GM reasons not to use it, the dialogue will have a GM option, GM ignore. So if you don't like it, you do not have to use it. If you have a roleplay reason not to use it, you do not have to use it. But for everybody else who does agree that the tactics initiative bonuses are too much, but would like to use it, here's a balanced way of being able to justify that benefit. So that players who think that tactics initiative is just too much have a way to engage with that system without feeling like they're breaking the game. So again, this is not a tax for every scenario. If you have 10 scenarios in a week, you are not paying 10 SP. What you are doing is every time you launch one of those 10 scenarios, you'll be given a message, hey, would you like to move a satellite into position? It will cost 1 SP. So if you only feel that you need the satellite, the tactics bonus for a single scenario, you are only paying 1 SP. PS359 says, let's say you could give the enemy commanders a tactics skill based on the skill of the formation. We do. We do. The problem is it doesn't scale. We cannot have it as high as the player. So what PS359 is saying that the elite enemy could have a +8 or something. That is not something we can do. We did that. We actually straight up did that. Players complained for an entire release life cycle. An entire cycle we were hearing complaints about Princess always going first. Yeah, no, that was something we actually did, and players complained to the high heavens. So here's the system. This is what we're going to try and use, and yeah, this is what we're going to go with. And again, I'm going to emphasize this for anybody who wasn't listening the first time I said it. This is going to be an optional system that you do not need to use. It is going to be a simple case of unticking a checkbox in campaign options if you do not want to use it. It is a simple case of clicking a single button that says, I'm the GM, go away, if you do not want to use it. So, but here's the thing. I can sit here and I can complain about this system being broken for years to come, or I can add in a solution. And then I can die happy knowing that I don't need to continue having conversations about how tactics and leadership units are broken for the rest of my life. So, optional option for optional people. Not forced on anybody. It probably won't even be enabled by default in Veteran. It might not be. I need to decide on that. But it's an optional system for those who wish to engage with that system. But it is not something that we forced on you. If you think it's priced too highly, one, consider getting better admin if you can, because that will massively improve the number of support points you get. And two, feel free to disable it. Now, whenever we add new SP costs, we do also do a period where we monitor the SP economics. Psychatic says, even if it's 1 SP per scenario, and I can pick which one, if I only have 3 support points, and then I can do one orcs deployment, 1 tactics battle, and 1 reinforcement, let's want to reinforce immediately. Yeah, no, that sounds perfectly fine to me. That sounds perfectly fine to me. Like, that does not seem broken in the slightest. Like, you are listing a laundry list of advantages. That does not sound like a problem. But yeah, when it comes to support points, you live or die based on the negotiation skill of your transport admin. So if you're finding that you're being starved of SP, definitely 100% invest in your transport admin. Get their negotiation up. It is also capped on the size of your force. So when you start off as a company, yeah, you're going to be really starved. Like that is working as intended. Once you get big enough, you'll find that, and you're taking bigger contracts, it's a lot easier to build up a pool of support points. It's literally, Willie says maybe deploy a SAT to the area of the strat map. We cannot interact with the SAT map in that way. We are very limited in what we can do. Hey, CM Peterson. I'm upsetting people. But yeah, no, we are very limited in what we can do with the StratCon AO. So this is what we're going to do. And again, you do not have to agree with this. You do not have to use this. But this is what I'm doing this for my own peace of mind, so that I know I can just put the problem to bed. Just put the problem to bed, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. And if people don't want to use it, I don't care. If people want to use it, the option's going to be there. CM Peterson says you're not taking away more ATB stuff, are you? StratCon stuff this time. So again, coming back to what we're doing, we are adding an SP tax to gaining tactics modifiers to initiative. It is optional. You do not need to use it. It is there for people who want to use it. Where is start game? There it is. Psychedelic says, will it be a nag or pop-up when deploying tactics units? I'm probably... well, first of all, yes, there will be. I'm literally just about to write that. Yeah, no, there will be a pop-up. That's what I'm doing right now. Oh, I accidentally got get scenario instead of get campaign. Whoops, doodles. CM Peterson says, I wanted to stop by and personally give my thanks to the personality system. It has really helped me immerse myself in the storyline in my head while I'm playing. I'm really glad you like it. I genuinely didn't think people liked it. I was so, like, I had made my peace with the fact that people didn't like it and was ready to just delete it. So I'm really touched by how much people do like it. So thank you. Could just be no, true. So Psychotic has listed an alternative system. The reason why we're implementing it this way is it's something we can implement very quickly without needing to muck around with adding a whole slew of UI elements to allow the player to understand what their SP taxation is. This is a massive nerf. Like, I'm not going to pretend this is some kind of weird bug or it's not going to really impact people. This is a very deliberate, massive nerf. Transport admins expect SP, correct. Transport admins are the people who generate SP. So Psychotic is raising the point that if you don't have SP, you don't want to get scenarios until you have SP, that's fine. Like that waiting until you have the support to be able to properly engage a scenario is fine. That's strategic thinking. Like the problems that you are raising, I don't believe they are problems. Like I understand that you believe they are, and I understand that this is going to be a big change in how players engage. But that's okay. Change is okay. Making a player think about, oh, if I trigger a scenario, will I have enough SP? That's okay. Like that's not bad player behavior. That is perfectly fine. In fact, I would expect players to already be doing that behavior because they don't want to get involved in a big fight if they don't have enough SP to reinforce. So I would expect players already do that. But again, this comes back to the very important point I raised before I've gone on this road, that this is a optional system. Psychotic says, I mean, I've deployed a single scanning force and immediately got hit with 3 scenarios before. That happens. Like, that's okay. Like that is not a problem. The game is not meant to be perfectly balanced. The game is meant to give you challenging situations. So you're suddenly hit with 3 scenarios. What the hell do you do? Do you have the resources to fight all 3 scenarios? Probably not. So you have to pick and choose. Which scenarios can you afford to skip or afford to send only a small force? Which scenarios do you need to really invest the resources you have, the limited resources you have access to? These are the strategic questions that I want you to ask yourself. Putting the player into a position where they need to ask strategic questions. How do I manage my resources to get the result that I want? That's not a problem. That is exactly the kind of behavior that we've been trying to encourage. And again, once again, this is an optional system. This is not a system you must use. So if you are very determined that this is not a system that you like, or this is not a system that you think is fair, this is not a system that you think is balanced, you just need to untick it. yeah, so Psychic says, I guess I don't think an initiative bonus is worth the same as more units on the field. So that is going to greatly depend on how much you've invested in tactics. So keep in mind, the max level of tactics is 10, okay? Now, getting tactics to 10 is a big XP investment, but the way the tactics modifier works is it gives you a modifier to your initiative check every turn, okay? Equal to your level in tactics. So if you are rolling, if you have 10 tactics at the extreme end and you are rolling 2d6 plus 10, okay, that means you are going to get between 12 and 22 on your initiative roll. At that point, being able to win initiative every round for a scenario, oh, that absolutely, like, I would pay 1 SP for that any day of the week. Even if it means I don't have reinforcements for that scenario, if I'm winning initiative every turn, I control the battlefield. However, if my modifier is only +1, is that worth? Is a +1 modifier worth an SP? Probably not. At that point, I'm better off investing in things like mobile HQs because they give me +2 for free, no XP requirement. If I'm getting a +4 or a +3 modifier, now is that worth an SP? +3 or +4? I mean, it's gonna give me an average of 10 or 11 on my initiative roll. Now that's a more interesting question. Like, is having an average roll of 10 or 11 on initiative worth a support point? And that's going to make me think. I don't know. That's going to really come down to the scenario and how badly I want to win. What about halving the effectiveness of tactics, every 2 points giving a +1 bonus rounded up? So at 1 or 2 tactics you get +1, but at 9 or 10 you get +5. Honestly? Like... yeah, alright. Now that seems pretty good to me, honestly. Yeah, no, I think Psychotic's on the ball. Let's go with that. Fuck this. Fuck you, mess of dialogue. You're awful to work with. Yeah, no, I think Psychotic's like 100% on the ball there. Much less work. It's not necessarily much less work, because I was using an immersive dialogue, which to handle all the hard work. So it's probably about the same amount of work. But I feel like I'm going to have a much easier time of convincing the player base to use it. So rather than exchanging me whining about tactics for the rest of my life with me having to defend tactics for the rest of my life, Let's just go with this. Like, it's still a nice bonus, but it means that, so the biggest problem I have with tactics is that there's two major problems I have with it. So the first problem is that if you have tactics and the other player doesn't, you're going to win every time. The other problem is that it completely invalidates initiative giving equipment like Mobile HQ. Why bother with some extra communications equipment in your mech for a couple of tons when you can just put more lasers and spend 30 XP on tactics and get the same result? So yeah, no, I think nerfing tactics that way is the way to do it. So that's a really, really good idea, Si. You know, you're 100% on the ball. No, I think you're absolutely right. Let's pivot. Let's go with that. Let us put we've got the tactics skill. Oh, this is scenario rerolls. This isn't what I'm looking for. I thought I was somewhere else. Oh, I know how we can easily check this. Campaign options. Psychotic's asking for another quirk slot. I mean, that could be arranged. My issue is that the personalities can get really, really long, and the longer they are, the worse they are. Because once you have if you have every personality slot and you have your quirk, that's like 5 paragraphs, and you really start to see the cracks showing. PS359 says, I thought trans was covered by biological versus presenting genre. We don't have a system for trans characters. There is a couple of quirks that can suggest the character is trans, but I haven't implemented a specific mechanical implementation of trans characters because I haven't found a way that I feel is respectful. There are non-binary characters, and you can choose to read them as trans, but there isn't true trans characters. And again, I am trans myself, so it's definitely not like a bias thing. It's that I want to make sure that if I'm implementing something like that, it has to be done in a way that is respectful and not gimmicky. But there are a number of quirks that you could read as exhibiting from the trans experience. Just as there's definitely a few in there that you could, oh god, what am I doing? You could read as exhibiting, as suggesting the autistic experience. But yeah, right now there aren't any. Use tactics. Radar, I like trains. Okay. We don't need faction here. Okay, let's knock these down a little bit. Just because I think that's good. That seems reasonable. Kicksmile says, I have this sort of feeling that anytime the magnitude of a modifier in a roll approaches or especially exceeds the range of the raw roll, one might need to step back and start asking what the heck of the point of the roll is. Yes. So this is kind of the point I'm making, that, and this is a conversation that was had on the Discord a couple of days ago, with the way tactics currently, not we're going to change that, but how it currently works, it just basically means that you end up in a situation where the D6 roll doesn't matter. It's just who brought the most modifiers. So let's see here. So that gives us our tactics modifier. And that gives us, yeah, okay, so those are working good. Come back to is use tactics. Campaign option marshal, that's correct. Personnel tab. Oh, that's fine. UNAT. There we go. Okay. Cool. We're going back and add this add campaign options to it later. Okay, that is all good. That should be good. Okay, so I'm going to be back in just a couple of seconds. I need to quickly go to the toilet. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Sorry about that. My estrogen has declared war on my body today. Someone asked if the mission descriptions are in the glossary. They are. Hi, youngster. Glad you could join us. And I can't see anything else. But yeah, no, the contract descriptions are in the glossary. They're not wholly accurate. I need to do an accuracy pass because I wasn't involved in them. And unfortunately, Hammer read some of the code and thought some of the stuff that is from ATB that got removed is still active, and so that's been name dropped in the descriptions, but they're mostly accurate. Okay, so our next objective is to add a campaign option. Shazam. What do we call our campaign option? Use nerf tactics? Yeah, use tactics. Nerf. Use more reasonable tactics. Sensible tactics. There we go. That's what we're going to call it. Use sensible. There we are. And here's the thing. Any new option has to be enabled by false by default, otherwise people get grumpy at me. Scenario descriptions are not in the glossary. We haven't added scenario descriptions because when you start the scenario, you get the briefing, which is its description, and you also get the briefing in the briefing room. So I'm not sure what the use case would be to have scenario descriptions in the glossary. If you want to explain why you want them, I might be able to get an idea. It's just I don't myself right this second see what the value is, and that just likely means I don't see why you would want them, and I need that explained to me. I will say I'm in a much better mood now. We're nerfing tactics. Tactics has I will say, Psychatic, your idea on what to do with tactics was absolutely spot on. Yeah, no. The idea that you had to adjust tactics is 100% on point, and I'm glad you suggested it. Just to have them all in one place. So the problem with that is there are a lot of scenarios, and that is a lot of writing. Psychatic says they felt it was a better option than support coin boss. Like, I agree. That's why I'm implementing it. And the thing is, like, even if it wasn't a better idea, I feel like I can get players to accept this more, which makes it a better idea. Because there's no point in implementing an option that players are just going to immediately say, this sucks, Illiani, you suck. Because whilst anybody who's been playing MekHQ for a while knows I am not adverse to making unpopular decisions if I believe it is in the greater benefit of the game. But you know what? It'd be really nice if I could go a couple of releases without pissing everybody off. Like, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, no, I have no compunctions against making an unpopular decision if I believe it's in the like, if I believe it is for the greater health of the game, I will absolutely make that decision. Give me a second. This seems good. Oh, I see what I've done. I accidentally wrapped it in get metadata twice. Whoops-a-doodles. There we go. That's there we go. We solved that problem. I am going to mark it as important. And probably we should add it as a custom system. Yeah. There we go. Youngster says, unpopular decisions have a habit of becoming popular decisions once the shock wears out. C, for example, advanced scouting. Radar says they're getting VIP in a fucking MegaMek. Jesus Christ. Is this on 51.0? Please say it's not. God damn it. Okay. Open an issue report if you wouldn't mind. I need to know I need the exact scenario, because we're going to need to have a look at the tags that unit has to figure out why it's been selected. King Mel says, was Advanced Scout unpopular, or was it just because it was buggy in release? Advanced Scouting was incredibly unpopular. Incredibly unpopular. And it wasn't that buggy on release. Like, okay, it had quite a few problems, but no. Advanced Scouting was incredibly unpopular. People really, really did not like Advanced Scouting. And the reason mostly comes down to the fact that people were so used to being able to scout the entire area of operations in a week, and now suddenly not only not being able to do that, but needing to invest in skills that weren't fighting skills, it just really rubbed people up the wrong way. Nowadays, people are much more open to it because people have had time to get used to it, had time to understand how to work with it to get the results that they want. But no, Ad Scout was fucking unpopular. I released Ad Scout and then got very, very salty because I wanted to give people a nice thing so that they, you know, would have a reason to use like scouting forces that made sense, because people are constantly saying, oh, there's no point in having recon forces that don't make sense. That shouldn't be an issue anymore. That shouldn't be an issue anymore. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, let me just do a quick feature, and we'll implement it. We'll give you guys a reason to, you know, actually have scouting forces that make scouting forcing. The youngster says, I remember you just saying, okay, fine, I'll make this last adjustment, and someone else would come in with a nitpick every time. Yeah, no, Ad Scout was really, really, really unpopular. Catch one chat just a second. Individual tactics initiative. Must be enabled. and the appropriate and the matching in MekHQ and the matching option to be enabled in MegaMek. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we are going to open up MekHQ and just check that our options set up correctly. Thank you for using the report a bug button, Radar. It makes my life a lot easier. But yeah, going back to AdScout, I was so fucking salty. Like, I genuinely was like, oh no, you know, I'll add a nice thing. It'll really, really help the players out, so people really enjoy it. Oh, I just sort of spotted that it's Little Willy followed 40 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm either not getting notifications or for whatever reason I'm not getting the notification ping. So I do apologize if I didn't respond sooner. It's Little Willy. I'm really glad that you're enjoying yourself and you're enjoying the stream. Let me just check my sources. Chat alerts. Give me 2 seconds. Ah, 1 second. I have found the cause. I have found the cause for everything. Apparently I have to, yeah, apparently I have to, like, relink certain things every time. Okay, give me 2 seconds. So I'm guessing I've got the same problem elsewhere, which is Stream Elements and Stream Labs login. Give me but a moment, and we'll stream will continue. I just want to make sure we're getting the notifications. I want to make sure that if you guys are doing stuff like subscribing or following, that I immediately respond, because it's really important to me. Like, you guys getting like a response, like a thank you at least. That's really important. So let's see. Alert box. Why is Val not working? Okay, we're just going to test the alert box. Just checking they're all working. So don't mind me. I am just very much okay. Just making sure they're all good. Okay, so that looks like it's working. I'm hoping that's now good, and whatever was blocking it is now no longer blocking it. But again, thank you so much for It's Little Willy, Wildfire142A, and Sad Pongo. All of you were fantastic for following within the last 24 hours. Also, Tiris for continuing their sub that they got from a gift. I believe that gift was from Heckin' Dog. So thank you so much for continuing your sub, Tiris. I really appreciate you. But that out of the way, let's go back to MekHQ. Radar says, I like this fix because it scales and balance. Some fixes were aimed at the extreme end, which pummel players were not at those extremes, like poor new players. Plus 15 to reinforce. Okay. On the topic of the plus 15 target number to reinforce, that was in fact a bug. That was not intended. Requiring plus 15 to reinforce was not intended. I remember that bug. But yeah, no, the the reinforcement bug where reinforcements are just insanely hard. That was quite funny. Okay, well, that's clearly not working. So come back out of here and go back into IntelliJ. Whoopsie doodles. Oh, I missed an L. There we go. Okay, let's launch this again. Booting up MekHQ so we can check our campaign options, and then we're just going to integrate the campaign options. No, I'm really happy with this approach. I think this approach really is just it hits the target 100%. Like this is a bullseye feature. King Miles just lists out a list of the problems that AdScat has. So the bug was specifically it was an inversion of speed and weight, which meant that heavier forces were better scouting. Heavier forces didn't get penalized twice. It just meant that light scouts were bad, heavy scouts were good. But yeah, no, AdScout did have a bunch of problems. So that is 1, 2, 3, 6 lines. Okay, so we need to go back in here and adjust that, but otherwise it looks like we're good. Oh no, I didn't want to close you. Come back. No, this is a really good option. I'm really happy with this. Because this does everything everybody wants and is still optional, which, you know, people do love their options. And the thing with this option as well, this is an absolutely an option I could get behind being added as a default in the veteran toolset, and probably the new player. I think everybody should play with this option. Man, Radar's talking about MASH. I remember MASH. MASH was good fun. Free versus 1. I feel like we can up this a little bit. Ooh, too much, too much. Oh, we'll keep it how it was. There we go. Now we just need to add this param. That'd be equivalent of nothing. That's equivalent of 2, 2, 4. That needs to come up by 1. Feel. Okay, that should all be good. We'll just have to do sensible tactics in one place, and then we are good, I feel. Do we have campaign options already stacked? We do. Give me sensible tactics. Fucking A. All right. Yeah, no, Hulu and Disney Plus. I don't know about Hulu, but I know Disney Plus. Oh, Hulu's owned by Disney now. That doesn't fucking surprise me. But yeah, I know Disney Plus got MASH because MASH was owned by Fox, and now it's owned by Disney. Oh, Psychedelic Clarifying is the exact same situation with Hulu. Everything you know, everything you love, it belongs to the mouse. Okay, so we should be good. Let's run some tests, make sure it's all clunking along nicely. And let's give you a chance to catch up. Radar asks, does this make Klinger a Disney princess? And yes, absolutely it does. 100%. Well, I mean, if not a Disney princess, here's a Disney queen. I shouldn't be surprised that you guys have watched MASH. MASH was brilliant. So we've got an hour left on stream. How do we want to nerf auxiliaries? Because that was the other problem. Leadership units are the other issue. Now, I would like to add a single point of support points to pay for leadership units. That is what I want to do. The motivation is we want users to not always turn to auxiliaries as a basically something you do every scenario. If you have the forces available, deploy them because you might as well. I want to break that. My solution is that if you want to use auxiliaries, you have to pay a single support point, but in return, you get them deploying on turn 1 with no reinforcement roll. PS359 says there was a joke on one episode of MASH that one of Klinger's dresses was his grandfather's who wore it to get out of World War I. Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen that episode. rename this to just tactics. Sensible tactics. Sensible tactics. Little Willie says, limit what missions can have auxiliaries. That's quite difficult without going through and updating or adding a special clause to every scenario. That's a possibility though. Let's think on that. Let's get this PR pushed and think on that. Knight says, well, the extra leadership units are a reward for not focusing gunnery and tactics. It's penalized. You may as well only put leadership in your managers. I disagree, but I agree that will be a common sentiment. So even if I don't strictly agree with you there, Knight, I agree that will be the common sentiment, and therefore it might as well be fact. I am increasingly liking Little Willie's idea of just adjusting what types of mission auxiliaries can be assigned to. Let's explore that option. Let's put this right up, and then let's explore that as an option. Like, what would that look like? AI wise, UI wise, that wouldn't be hard to implement. The challenge is going to be having to go through and update every scenario to say whether it can or cannot. Maybe this can be a tag for the unit type. That's really not possible. Like that's really, really difficult. Willie says, I mean, when you're ranging far ahead of the force, you're not going to have an artillery one map sheet, right? Yeah. So I think we have to be very, very limited with what our options are. So how would people feel about this? And this is very much a case. Sorry again, falling over my own tongue. This is a discussion. This is not Illiani dictates. So, how would people feel about making so that there's the free combat formations? There's patrol, which does patrol-y things. There's maneuver, which allows you to more easily reinforce. And then there's frontline. And right now, the benefits of frontline are you can get some infantry and you can plant mines. How would people feel if we took out... So, okay, let me start this again, okay? So, three formations: patrol, maneuver, and frontline. Patrol, you have to invest into, because you want to get those nice, sexy scouting rolls, okay? Maneuver, you need to invest in because you want to get, well, maybe you don't have to invest in, but like you need to invest somewhere to get like good rolls. But what if? So the mines are kind of dumb. I don't think anybody's going to disagree that being able to teleport mines into the way of the enemy, while you can justify it as commandos and stuff like that, it's kind of dumb. I don't think anybody would mind if I took that away. But what if instead of mines, frontline allowed you to use auxiliaries? So scouting lets you scout better. Maneuver lets you maneuver better. But then frontline gives you access to auxiliaries. Auxiliaries would otherwise work exactly the same as they do now. So if you go front line, you can get the free infantry units and you get your access to your auxiliaries. And because right now, front line is kind of worthless, honestly, there is as a player, there is no reason for me to have frontline forces unless I'm contractually obligated to, because maneuver is just so much better because it allows you to reinforce. So this would be a nerf to auxiliaries by a way of buffing frontline. PS359 says, mines might make more sense if you're trying to entrench, but not sure that's an option. Yeah, that's not really an option. We might actually be able to add mines to defensive scenarios. That'll be a second thing. So let's focus on getting this let's get this PR done. And I think the frontline buff is the way, because I get my nerf, and I get to also buff frontline, which desperately needs buffing. Yeah, no, I really like this tactics thing. I keep bringing it up because I'm like, this is so much better that than the support point thing. Like this is so much better. You did a really good shout with this, Psychotic. And Willy, I think Willy has the right of it with limiting in this way for the support points. So this Willy, what you want to do, rather than having the scouts as the infantry as so actually, it's a little Willy. You just mentioned that you use auxiliary to fill the Maxims uses scout force. Without the infantry, the Maxims are worthless. So you're actually setting your toe up wrong. Okay. Let me come back into IntelliJ. So you... sorry, give me a second. Willy, what you want to do is you want to have your infantry in the same combat team as the Maxims, because when you're using patrols, every single unit in the combat team gets to make a scouting check. So if you have 4 Maxims and 4 platoons of infantry in the same scouting force, you're getting 8 recon rolls. Using auxiliaries to add them to a scenario if the scouts get bumped is actually detrimental to you. And Radar's pointing out quite correctly, it's why VTOLs and infantry are so good for scouting, because you just get a nice mobile APC, bundle in all of the people, have them in the combat team together, and everybody's getting to roll. But because you have in the toe, as Tiris is pointing out, if you put them as assigned transport in the toe, so you have your combat team that has your Maxims and your infantry, and then infantry in the toe, you assign them to your Maxims. When the infantry are making their scouting checks, they use the Maxims movement profile, not their own. And so this is the key why VTOLs and hover vehicles are so good at scouting. You make sure you assign the infantry to the scouting vehicle, have it all in the same combat team, and you are getting... Like if you have 4 infantry, 4 Maxims, you are getting 8 scouting rolls, all of them having the Maxims speed benefits. It is incredibly powerful. Infantry make really good scouts if they're in a mobile unit. Definitely don't use your infantry as auxiliaries for scouting. You 100% want to have them loaded. Like that, you definitely do. Okay, so let's nerf auxiliaries. No, we're not going to call it the auxiliaries nerf. We're going to call it the frontline buff. Yeah. Got to get the old PR angle there. Okay, so ooh. I will say I really like the group process of coming up with these systems rather than just the brain of Illiani. How are we getting Lance Commander? Okay. Knight says that roughly translates to "I'm so glad I can blame chat for my tyrannical dictations." Hey, I will have you know, I go out of my way to try and make this game better. They're not tyrannical dictations. Oh, 1 second, my dogs are screaming. Be right back. And I'm back. So I could hear my dogs screaming, and it was the same scream that they make if someone escapes the yard. And my chickens are out, so I need to make sure that my dog wasn't eating my chickens. It turned out it was one of my pigs trying to break into the dog yard to steal the dog food. Tira says they like Hammer's lore preview, though. I want to know more how that works. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Psychotic says streaming the dev work is already paying dividends. Absolutely is. 100%. I'm not sure, does defense even exist anymore? I thought defense was gone. That's not helpful. I thought. Yeah, no, defense is gone. Defense became frontline. Perfidious Anglo says it's not an option in my currently open campaign. Which option are you referring to? Lil Willie says they're an addition behind. Yeah, no, combat roles got changed a long time ago, like last year, long time ago. Actually, I can tell you, they got changed in... No, it definitely wasn't 2020. They actually got changed near the end in December of 2024. Defense... Oh, yeah, no, defense is not... defense became frontline. So Psychotic asks, how do I use mines? Don't worry, because it's not going to be a problem anymore. We are addressing that. Mines will not be added. There we go. Perfidia says they're a little broken on facility assaults, although it's extremely funny watching defending mechs get their knees blown out as they try to move around. Yeah. Is there a cost associated with using the mines? No. However, what I'm thinking is that I'm going to make it so that you can get mines, but specifically for facility defense scenarios. So when you yourself are defending a facility, you could maybe get a bunch of mines. And I think that makes sense because you've theoretically dug in, got base defenses. So I think we could do some mines that way. We just need to figure out a way to balance it, but that's something I'm going to think about. But I am taking mines out of frontline. Oh, actually, I've already got a back. Scenario set going, okay, primary force. How is this working? So we are setting the UI. Set scenario, get the number of defense points. Set scenario UI. I want this. This is what we want. Here, the specific check. If trying to work out the... Confirming that Princess does not use mines. In fact, Princess can't even see mines. Princess should be blind to our mines, not her own. She is blind to both. Princess straight up cannot see mines at all. They don't factor into her movement code whatsoever. What's going on here? Okay, let's try this. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to try it. Perfidious Anglo says this is giving me flashbacks of watching a squirrel inquiries for work. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. Knight says, can you confirm or deny that Princess can see artillery hexes? Princess should not be able to. She might be able to see friendly artillery hexes, but she... And actually, I don't know. Okay, I can't be 100% certain. It's gonna come down to, can you, the player, see artillery hexes? If you can see them, Princess should be able to as well. But some work was done to allow the player to control Princess's artillery, and it was never finished. It was never finished, unfortunately. And the developer hasn't been with the project for like a year, if not more. But yeah, so we're waiting for MekHQ to do MekHQ things. While we're waiting for MekHQ to do MekHQ things, if you're enjoying the stream so far and you want to see more from what we do, please consider hitting the follow button. Hit the subscribe if you're feeling spicy. When do we stream? We stream 5 times a week. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, daytime. That is your live development streams. What you're watching right now, in your eyeballs and your earbees, that is what we're doing. Then Friday evening, we have the adventures of the Scrotorious Bastards. A Rasselhaig house unit that is just 5 years before the clan invasion. Come see the adventures of Odin One Nut, and of course, fan favorite, Flash Ride. That is Friday evenings. If you're not sure of our schedule, if you look at the schedule place where schedules live on Twitch, it will show you our schedule adjusted to your time zone. Now, MekHQ is frustratingly staging data files, so this is going to be a couple of moments. While I'm waiting, I'm quickly going to check my personal messages because I need to verify what's happening with my friend whose car broke down. Okay, good news. It looks like it just needs a spark replacement. Okay, and MekHQ is up. Fantastic. So we're going to start ourselves up a little scenario, and we're going to just see if everything works. So good old MekHQ. We just need to jump in a standard contract. We're not too worried about the details. We just want to get a scenario going. And we're going to do 2 scenarios. We are going to do one where we're in the front line and one where we're not. If you're not aware, the company generator that you just saw me use is now deprecated, which means it is no longer receiving updates or improvements. I'm very happy to say that we have a new company generator in the works that is going to replace it. Will allow you to do things like generate combined arms forces, as well as just be better integrated in a bunch of stuff. Perfidious Anglo says better a spark plug than a timing belt. Yeah, quite right. But I'm just glad that I should say, was only like 20 minutes from where they live and not like in the middle of nowhere, because they were about to drive across states to come help us prepare for the house. So it could have been a lot worse. Okay, what do we need? We need our mech warriors. We need everybody assigned to... Okay, who is in charge? We can do it like this. Give me the real people. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to edit person. By the way, if you didn't know, if you select multiple people once and hit edit person, you actually get to edit them all. So we're just going to pump up these numbers. Not you. You don't get tactics. Okay, so Charlie has no tactics. So we go to the briefing room and we go to assignments. Charlie is going to be frontline. Baker is going to be maneuver. And let's see if we've got any scenarios. If not, we can add some. Okay. So first up, Abel is frontline and should have the ability to add auxiliaries. Okay. Yeah, we've got auxiliaries and we've got the infantry stuff. So that worked. We have frontline Charlie should not be able to add auxiliaries. I don't like that the UI is not visible, but it works. We're now going to add a hostile base, mech base, there we go. And Baker, who is maneuver, so should not get auxiliaries. Fan-fiddly-tastic. Okay, fantastic. So this works. So heading back to IntelliJ. Psychic says, will I be able to generate specific force units like all normal infantry command? I am not the project lead for the new company generator, but yeah. Sorry, my brain farted. Yeah, I'm not the project lead. I believe you can, but it's not my project. I am here. I am involved only in an advisory capacity and to do code reviews. Honestly, that's fine. It's fine having the smaller UI. Okay, that is good. I am much happier. Oh, apparently if I press spacebar while selecting changes, it selects all one. That's useful. Radar says they think it's Hammer doing the new company generator. It is. Hammer's doing the code, and Alitair, our UI wizard, is doing the UI. And then I'm providing code reviews and answering any questions. We do, however, need to... Mission. That's not quite what we need. Front line. Just updating this. Okay, and we do need... We need to find the glossary entry. Combat teams. Combat roles. Is there any documentation for how the training role works? There is an entire PDF in the glossary. There's also specific instructions here in the glossary as well. Go. It's okay, Perfidious. There's loads of information in the glossary, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Generally, the glossary is the place to enter. The documentation, like the PDFs, is kind of the older way of communicating stuff. But no, I'm really happy with what we've done here today. We've kind of like squashed my two biggest complaints from a balance perspective, and in a way that I think players are going to really enjoy. Or if not enjoy, at least not bother me too much with the complaints. Which is kind of like enjoyment. No, we did a boo-boo. I shouldn't have done that. That is what I should have done. Give me a second. Chemical diseases, that's all nice and great. Give me combat teams, combat roles, there we go. There we go. And I like this as well. Just because of how it works. Apparently we have an entry for leadership units. I will need to double check that. Let's us have a read-roo of leadership units. So this is what the glossary looks like internally. Let's just double check we're getting leadership units right now. Okay, that is good and grand. I think Bully says they were out. What we changed? So we are both buffing and nerfing at the same time. So I'm gonna jump back to what we've done today, outside of bug fixes and other stuff. So the primary thing we've done is we've nerfed tactics and we've nerfed leadership units. These are my two biggest bugbears when it comes to game balance. I'm not gonna go into the reasons why, because I'll get grumpy. I'm gonna go into the reasons why. So the reason why the tactics is bad is because it is a 0 to 10 modifier on every initiative roll. It completely breaks initiative, is incredibly one-sided in favor of the player, and just is not a great game balance approach. So what we've done to nerf tactics, because it is rules as written, it is one of the few things that has been taken from a time of war, and I'm grumpy about it. But what we've done is, rather than just removing tactics initiative entirely, Psychatic came up with a fantastic idea of why don't we just half the modifier. So that means your initiative modifier from tactics is equal to your tactics divided by 2, rounded down. So if you've got 5 tactics, you're going to get only a +2 modifier to initiative, which is fine. Like, that's still a good modifier, but it's not only needing 2 levels, it needs 5 or 4 really. So you have to invest 6 ranks into tactics to get +3, which again is still powerful, but it is not broken. And this has the added benefit of not completely invalidating all initiative granting equipment. So your mobile HQ, Psychic says, I said rounded up, so rank 1 wouldn't be a waste. It is intentional how I've done it. I deliberately did it this way. It means you have to have a minimal investment. So you need at least 2 ranks in tactics to get a initiative modifier. And as everybody's pointing out, making it rank 10 would make rank 10 pointless because there's no, yeah, either way. Psychic just saying they're commenting round down was more choice. Yeah. No, rounding, okay, so rounding down is deliberate, but back to the point I was making. A mobile HQ gives a +2 modifier in initiative. That means to get better than a mobile HQ, you need to invest 3 ranks into tactics, which is a significant investment. But that then gives you +3 in any scenario that the tactics is involved in. Or you can take initiative granting equipment and not have to worry about the XP cost. So not only does it nerf tactics, but it also makes equipment that grants an initiative bonus valid again, a worthwhile investment in equipment costs. So I incredibly love this. And for anybody who thinks it's not a good idea or wants rules as written, no matter how broken rules as written is, this is a campaign option. You can disable it. What we have just done is we have both nerfed the frontline combat role and buffed the frontline combat role and nerfed leadership units. So for the frontline combat role was bad. The benefits to the frontline combat role were you could deploy battle armor and infantry units for free, and you got 2 mines, more or less. You got up to 10 mines, but you basically had 2 mines most of the time. And if you compare that benefit to literally any other formation, patrol, you get better patrol rolls and like better patrols. Maneuver, you get to roll twice on reinforcement and take the best result. There was no point in taking frontline really, because like even the infantry unit bonus, you might as well just use leadership points and get the infantry anyway. So frontline was just bad. How it's going to work now is leadership units have not been changed. Leadership units has not been directly nerfed. But now only frontline formations get access to leadership units. So you can't suddenly teleport auxiliaries on top of a scouting force that's patrolling deep into enemy lines. You can't teleport auxiliaries to reinforce a lance that's set to maneuver because it's moving around too much. It means that if you want your leadership units, you need to be in the frontline formation, which makes sense why the frontline formation would be supported by auxiliaries. And so it does nerf leadership units by meaning that you can't just have them on every scenario, because now you need to think, okay, well, I want these forces in patrol, I want these forces in maneuver. That means they're not going to get access to auxiliaries, whereas my frontline forces will. And so it is a nerf. It's an indirect nerf to auxiliaries because they're not always going to be universally available, which was my biggest complaint. But it also means, as a side hustle, we're also directly buffing frontline in a way that makes frontline actually worth taking. Because right now, in 51.0 and before, the only reason to take the frontline combat formation is because the contract is forcing you to. So that's what we've done here. Now the frontline changes is not a campaign option. That is something you're going to have to get used to. Psychic says they prefer these changes over supply costs. Yeah, no, I think these changes are better, and I believe it was it's Little Willy who suggested the change that we've actually ended up implementing for this. So big thank you to Psychic for the tactics change and Little Willy for the leadership unit change. And I am confirming Psychic SP does mean support points actually. So we are at the end of the stream. I'm not going to bother typing this up on stream. So let's switch us over to the ending soon. So a big thank you to everybody who turned out to stream today. I'm looking at the numbers and I can see we had a really good stream today, like plenty of people. So I'm really happy you guys were able to join us. Now, there is a chance, so keep in mind, we do not stream on Wednesdays. But there is a chance that we may not be streaming on Thursday. I need to speak to my friend to find out if they are coming to visit or not. Because if they're visiting, like on Thursday, we'll be still tidying the house to get it ready for viewing. If they're not visiting, then I'll be here. So just bear in mind that there may not be a Thursday stream, there may not be a Friday stream. Scritorious Bastards will not be cancelled. There will be security, even if I miss the Thursday morning and Friday morning dev streams, Scritorious Bastards will happen on Friday evening. That's not being cancelled. The other ones are... Just keep an eye on the Discord, because, yeah, I am actively preparing to move house. And we managed to get a new house, like, a month ahead of when we were expecting to move in. So, like, it is a last-minute panic. I will try and stream for you folks, but I just can't promise it. So just keep an eye on the MegaMek Discord for the announcement. Keep an eye on your inbox for Twitch announcements. I will try. Psychotic says, don't forget an announcement over this change. That's a good idea. But yeah, look, if I don't stream, I will put a notice on the MegaMek Discord to say, hey, there's not going to be a stream today. So just keep an eye out on things is what I'm saying. Now, if you are listening, if you are having a good time, hit the follow. Hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe, tickle the bell, do the things that YouTube demands you do. Because that lets me know that you're interested. That lets me know that you guys are having a good time and that you're enjoying the content I put out. If you are especially enjoying yourself, consider hitting the subscribe button. Any funds from subscribes are going directly into getting me a new computer so that I can produce more and better content, be that content in MekHQ, be that content on the streams. Thank you so much for the gigantifying, Psychotic. We love a good flash fried gigantifying. But yeah, so like I say, all funds are getting directed directly to getting me a new computer so I can develop a little bit easier. Thank you so much, Silly Willy, for the subscription with Prime. I really appreciate you. Yay! And like I really appreciate you guys. Like I'm not doing this for the money, which is why the money's being siphoned into something that directly benefits you guys. And thank you so much for the follow, Perfidious Anglo. And I'm so glad my notifications are working again. I actually get notified now when you guys getting following stuff, which is nice. So yeah. Actually, speaking of MegaMek, Little Willie just commented that it's better MegaMek. So speaking of MegaMek, you may actually see me later this year developing in MegaMek, not MekHQ. Because there's a big change coming to BattleTech. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Something about, I don't know, a new core rulebook with new rules. So I may be getting drafted to the front lines. I will not be the developer behind the big push to incorporate the new core rules. However, due to the seriousness and the need to get those rules in as quickly as possible, I will be basically volunteering my time to the contributor who's doing that as basically their gopher. The video says BattleTech 2nd edition, 3rd edition by 2060. Exactly. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, don't be surprised if you see me developing in MegaMek for a little bit. What else? So when I do move, I will be taking a week, maybe 2 weeks off of MegaMek Discord, like MekHQ development, and we'll be streaming Xenonauts 2 instead, because I love you guys. I love the project. I am not developing MekHQ while I'm actively moving house. So yeah, so expect Xenonauts 2 streams for a little while I'm getting adjusted into my new location. But until then, remember, if you're doing your best, that's all anybody can ask for. And if you're not doing your best, well, that's okay, because you don't need to do your best all the time. Do what you can do, and remember, always, slow progress is still progress. But until next time, hopefully Thursday, I wish you all adieu. Have yourselves a great evening. Get yourself something tasty to eat. Spend some time with your family if you want. And if you don't want, don't worry. You can make a new family in MekHQ. Farewell. Catch you later.